Welcome, everyone. My name is Lindsay, and I am a behavior analyst. And today I want to take a few minutes to explain what behavior therapy looks like at Surrey Place. I'm going to talk about how the service works, who's involved, and specifically the mediator model approach and why it is so important. You should have a copy of this handout that's pictured on the screen there. It'll be helpful to have reviewed it already, but if you haven't, that's okay. Essentially, I am going to review it in this short video. Let's get started. So our behavior therapy team works with individuals who have intellectual or developmental disabilities. The goal is to help each person develop meaningful practical skills and to reduce behaviors that might be getting in the way of their daily life, whether it's at home, in the community, or maybe it's at work. We do not take a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, we focus on what's meaningful to that individual. What skills will make their life easier, safer, or more fulfilling. And we also focus on how we can prevent challenges before they happen. So how can we be proactive? The behavior therapy service moves through a few key stages. And again, it's individualized, so it may look a little bit different, but essentially what we do is we start with an initial meeting where we do some goal setting. And once we have a goal in mind, then we do an assessment and we get to know the person. We figure out what's working well and where the challenges are. We then may collect some data or have the mediator collect some sort of data. And essentially, this is just information that tells us more about what's going on, and it helps us to design strategies that will best support the goal that we've outlined. Once we've developed some strategies, we will do some training of those strategies and have the mediator implement them. And then we will have ongoing monitoring and follow-up. So this means that the therapist is checking in with you regularly. You might be reviewing data, they're getting your feedback, and this can help us decide where adjustments to the plan need to be made. And then once things are going well and the mediator and the individual feel confident that they can implement these strategies on their own, the service is complete. So the word mediator, I want to take some time to talk about the mediator model. At Surrey Place, behavior therapy is provided through the mediator model. So this means that rather than the behavior therapist working directly one-on-one with the individual all of the time to teach new skills, we actually focus on coaching and supporting the people who already spend the most time with them. And this is the mediators. So mediators might be parents, siblings, direct support professionals, or other caregivers. Sometimes the individual themselves can even take on this role if they're interested and if they have the capacity to do so. But essentially, the idea here is that the behavior therapist is going to train the people who are already a part of somebody's daily life because they're the ones who are going to make the biggest and most consistent difference. The mediator already has a relationship with this individual. They might see them daily compared to the behavior therapist who is just meeting the individual for the first time, take some time to get to know them, but you might only see your behavior therapist once a week, whereas you're seeing your support people or your mediators much more frequently. So that's why it's important that we have a mediator involved. I'm going to talk about the role as the mediator. So essentially, if you are the mediator in behavior therapy, you're going to attend the behavior therapy meetings and participate in the service goals. Some examples of participating in the service goals, it could mean that you are sharing information as appropriate with the rest of the care team. It doesn't mean that you're doing this all by yourself. If there is training that needs to be done, the behavior therapist is going to help train the whole team. But if there's a simple recommendation, such as increasing the number of times you're doing a strategy during the day, it may be your responsibility to share this with the whole care team. And again, because you are in this individual's life, you might already have a weekly team meeting that you attend. So you can provide these updates during those frequent interactions, whereas the behavior therapist may not be involved in those frequent interactions. So you're a really good bridge between the therapist and the rest of the care team. It will be your role as the mediator to use strategies as recommended, to the best of your ability. So simply, if it is recommended that you are doing breathing exercises once daily, you are ensuring that it is built into the individual's routine and that you're prompting yourself to practice the strategies with the individual. As a mediator, you might be asked to collect data and give feedback on how the strategies are going. This will help us decide if we need to make adjustments to the goals or to the learning plan. So it's really important. You'll also be responsible for keeping the learning consistent. So you are implementing the strategies in real time, and you are implementing them with consistency to give them a chance to essentially have an impact. And then most importantly, the collaboration or the communication between the mediator and the behavior analyst is essential. So the mediator's role is to communicate with the behavior analyst when more support is required, or maybe it just means that different support is required. It's your responsibility to say, hey, we can't actually do that recommendation because we don't have the resources, or that timing doesn't work out for us. But essentially communicating openly to make sure that whatever the behavior therapist is recommending matches up with the individual's life. Because again, the mediator knows the individual themselves the best. So they are the best person to collaborate when we are planning these things and choosing strategies. Mediator involvement is so important. When mediators are engaged, everything works better. The individual gets consistent support and can gain independence. So a couple key points here. When mediators are actively involved, we see faster progress because strategies are being used consistently across settings. We see better communication where the whole team is on the same page. We see more independence for the individual because skills are being reinforced in the everyday environment, in the everyday situation where they're occurring. And we see a stronger relationship between the person and their supports, because when you have a mediator who is invested in your success, it builds up the rapport that you have, and you're working together for better behavioral outcomes. Essentially, in short, the success of behavior therapy depends on this teamwork, with the mediator playing a key leadership role in that team. And a quick summary, behavior therapy at Surrey Place is, again, all about partnership. The therapist provides guidance, tools, and expertise, but the real change happens through the people who support the individual on an everyday basis. So by working together, we can help each person build meaningful skills, reduce challenges, and reach their goals in a way that fits their life. I hope that this was helpful, and I look forward to future collaboration. Thanks so much. Take care.